another episode of the Just Bros podcast, where we share physical therapists and engineers' perspective on outdoor life, our field of expertise, and anything Just Bros want to discuss.
Today we'll be covering what life is like after knee surgery with 2 kids, our best hunting stories of the past season, and updates on where life takes us in the coming weeks. But first, how was your day, bro?
It was a great day. A lot better Monday than I would say typically. I got to take the full day off and hang with the 2 girls all day long. Meg worked. It was a lot of fun. We got to go to our favorite store, Shields, see all the animals and the fish and grab a little
Did you
candy.
see Dory?
Oh, yeah. First thing you see when you walk in.
Heck yeah.
How was your day?
It was good. It was a good day. Got a lot of studying in. Got some work done. Came home. We did a pulled pork yesterday, so we had that for dinner. Pulled pork nachos, one of my all-time faves. Then my kid, my 3-year-old Kason, found this fart in a can thing. You push it in and it makes fart noises. So that was the highlight of my day by far. I was listening to him giggle and laugh on fart noises for about 25-30 minutes. So good way to end the day with the kids.
Megan and I were just laughing about that a little bit ago. We saw a video, so that was good. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
I put it on the gram. So
yeah. So we talked about your upcoming, at the time, knee surgery last time. So
yeah,
you had surgery.
I had
give
surgery.
Us an update on how things are going.
Yeah, I had surgery on my right knee. It'd been giving me trouble through hunting season and holding me back in the weight room. So decided to get an MRI, got it done. It's put a huge amount of work on my wife's shoulders. She's waiting on me hand and foot, which is actually more depressing than it sounds, because pretty hopeless. I can't even carry my own dinner to the table right now with my crutches and my knee locked out in a brace. So pretty demanding. It puts a lot of extra work on my wife. Got a trophy wife for sure. She's taking good care of me, but the pain and swelling's largely under control. Now I'm just kind of waiting to wean off of the crutches and my brace. Hopefully the doctor will let me do that sooner than later. They actually found a 3-centimeter chunk of cartilage floating around my knee that was kind of a surprise, so hence all the clunking that I was having. That wasn't really on the MRI, so that was a fun finding while they were in surgery, and my meniscus tear was smaller than they thought. So really pretty good news at the end of the day.
It's good news.
Yeah.
Do they have any clue what that little chunk of whatever was, or?
Yeah. They asked me after surgery, what do you think? Did you have an injury to your kneecap at any point in time? And the only thing that came to mind was my senior year of high school soccer. I can't remember who we were playing, probably Columbus, because just a rivalry game, big game. But we were on the turf, and I remember taking a kick right to the kneecap, and I thought to myself at the time, I think I just broke my kneecap, and yet was able to continue playing to a lesser degree, but still running around on the field. So I thought, probably not. But turns out that's probably the most likely circumstance that led to that injury. I don't know for sure if it came from the kneecap, but it does look like it likely did. So I don't remember any football injury that I can remember to the kneecap. So I think it had to be almost 15 years ago. I was playing high school soccer. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Well, I'm glad to hear it went well and recovery's going well so far. So
Yeah, so far so good. I know you were talking about you were going to go on a whitetail doe hunt. How did that go?
Yeah, so that went great. Went out, what was it, Saturday morning. The wind was not optimal for what we probably would normally do, go sit in a little blind. So we went, sat on a hill, see what was moving. Pretty much everything where we were sitting would have been within rifle range for me. I was shooting my 6.5 Creedmoor with 140
so
DX.
everything's in rifle range. You got that 6.5
Yeah,
Creedmoor.
you know, the 6.5 Creedmoor, everything.
I'm sure we'll get some people pretty
range.
revved up about that. But
yeah, 275, 300. I mean, that's probably about everything I could see. And we actually did see one fawn. And it was the weirdest thing ever. We were sitting there, and then just a flash out of the corner of our eye, this fawn sprinted across the field from, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, was right behind us. And then we saw it sprinting across the field again, going the other way. And then it was out in front of us 10 minutes later, sprinting across. And then about 5 minutes after that, it came sprinting back the other way. No clue what was going on. Gary thought maybe it was the Paul Revere deer running around telling everybody, watch out, they're here.
trying out his turbos, her turbos.
Yeah. So nothing there. Had a good idea where they like to hang out, especially this time of year. Knew there was a lot of deer around, so I kind of went around one side of the property, got set up to where I could see 80 to 100 yards. And when I had walked in there quietly, I pushed a few doe out by a few, probably a dozen or so that I saw, and I didn't spook them bad. They just kind of trotted off, I'll say. They didn't run out of there hightailing it. I texted him, let him know when I was in position, and he started walking down some trees, and I could hear him yelling at the deer to get out of there, and sure enough, here they come. I get probably 10 or 12, about 70, 75 yards from me, and go through, pick out the biggest one. Made a good shot. Took out the heart and both lungs. She ran maybe 20 yards with a blood trail Ray Charles could have followed. So
one shot, one kill club.
Yeah. So that's, I'm 2 for 2 on that this year.
How'd the 6.5 Creedmoor perform for you?
Fantastic. Honestly, the entrance wound was larger than the projectile by a little bit. I think I hit a rib on the way in, and then passed through, and probably 3-ish inch exit wound on the far side.
What ammo were you using?
140 grain ELD match. I know a lot of people say why use match ammo, but it works. I mean, It's the bullet construction. It works well. So yeah, it went well, and got it early enough that we got it field dressed, loaded up, ran home so Addie could see it, and she was pretty excited. Got the kids loaded up.
That's cool. You get to bring the kids into the fold a little bit, show them where their food comes from.
Yeah, and we even, the locker was open until noon, so we ran it down and got it dropped off at the meat locker before they closed, and so worked out great.
Tell us a little bit about your 6.5 Creedmoor build. What do you have? How did you come to those conclusions? And ammo selection, barrel, everything. What's your go-to setup?
Oh man, I could talk for a long time about this. I'll keep it brief here, and maybe we'll do a full episode.
We may have to do a whole episode on John's gun build, by the way, but just a little teaser for us.
But little tidbit here. It is a Tikka T3X CTR. It's their compact tactical rifle. I had a buddy that had one in 308, and it just a great feeling rifle. So I thought, well, I'll pick up one of those, but I'm going to get a Creedmoor. Picked one of those up a few years back, and it's a really nice rifle. I like it, but I wanted something better than the cheap plastic stock. So I went and designed my own chassis system. So we'll call it lightweight chassis system, carbon fiber, free float fore-end, 6061 aluminum main body, and then it's got an adaptable rear end, so you can use different kind of stocks. Eventually I'll have my own folding stock design for it. This isn't released yet. Hoping in a month or two that I'll have this released to the public. So it's in that chassis, which doesn't really add more than 5 or 6 ounces probably than the cheap plastic stock did, but a lot more functionality. And then I'm using the Vortex LHT. I think it's the 4.5 to 22 first focal plane scope on there. So I wanted a good rifle that could do a lot of things well. So it hunts great. I would like to do some NRL hunter matches sometime, which for those that don't know is like a long range precision rifle match, sort of geared around hunting. In the 6.5 Creedmoor caliber, I mean, it's been around for a while. People know it works great. It's great hunting caliber. It's a great long range caliber. It's abundant. Ammo is relatively affordable compared to some other things. I know
it doesn't beat your shoulder up.
No, recoil is negligible, especially shooting suppressed. So yeah, it's a joy to shoot. I've taken a few deer with it, and it's done great every time. So I really like it.
Yeah, it's actually, I've seen it a couple times. It is awesome looking, and I can't wait for that product to drop. I'll be one of the first, if hopefully I will be the first, to have my own Rusty Nuts designed chassis, and I'm still struggling on what caliber to pick, but we'll get it squared away in time here. So
yeah, you're first on the list to get one. You'll have a pre-production prototype. So
all right.
Well,
look forward to it.
Got your elk sitting back there, I guess I should say, an elk behind you there. Is that the one you got with your bow this year? Is that a different one?
No, that's a different one. It's in the garage. This one's from, I think, 3 years back. That's sitting behind me here.
Okay.
It's the one I took with you and Dad. So,
okay.
But I will talk about my hunting story. I know some of the feedback we got from a few of our listeners, which has to be probably under 10, but more than 5. So that's good. It's a good start.
Thanks. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, we appreciate you tuning in and hearing us bros just talk about life and what we have going on. But so my elk story, I think, is probably something people are interested in hearing. So here it goes. Obviously, I've been hunting for a long time, moved out to Wyoming in 2015, and since then I have just been kind of obsessed with shooting an elk with my bow. I've shot a whitetail with my bow, I've shot a coyote with my bow, multiple turkeys with my bow, I've shot a mule deer and antelope with my bow, but I never got a chance to even draw back on an elk. I didn't care how big it was. I was going to shoot a cow this year.
I don't see why not.
And I decided I'm going to take 8 days, weekend to weekend. I'm going to be out there. And went out with my buddy Tyler from Casper. A little shout out there. He and I have been stomping around the snowies down in between Laramie and Saratoga in archery season, and really been getting after them, interacting with them, being close. We can smell them, we can see them, but I've never been in a position to take a shot. And this year was the same.
Let me interrupt you for a second. What can you expand on? You can smell them.
Yeah, once you've smelled them, you never. It's hard to describe over the air here, but it's a musky, stinky, just distinct smell that hits you like a wall. You know it's not. It's an incredible smell, honestly. And all of a sudden the wind shifts or swirls and it catches your nose, and you instantly go into hunting mode. It just kicks in. You know they're close. Now it's just you got to make sure you don't screw it up. So we've had that happen a few times, and this year we had it happen a few times. We saw butts running, we saw antlers to the trees. We had encounters almost every day, but just couldn't get it done. They weren't coming to the call. They weren't responding to cow calls or bugling. Maybe first thing in the morning they'd bugle back and give us a good idea where they were. We'd hustle up to them, and they'd be dead quiet. Then I'd change tactics and hunted really quiet and stealthy, and I went hours without moving, and then creeping in, and I bumped them out of their bed. So I knew where they were bedding down. We just couldn't get on them. We decided, you know what, this is a lot of work. We're doing a lot of elevation twice a day. Let's move to a new location, see if we get them fired up somewhere else. So we move on. We drive about 3 hours, gas up the trucks, get into a new spot, dump the camper. I got a new jumping jack camper. It's a tent on wheels. It's a pretty cool setup, but we got that unhitched, and I popped it up. My buddy Tyler ran down to what we call the log pile, and he was going to use his binoculars and spotting scope to look for elk in the distance. It's a good mile still that he can look at quite a few terrains, and started hearing elk down into this low part. It's the furthest from the truck that you can get on public land, and it's the lowest. It's the deepest and darkest hole that you can hunt in. And so he calls me and says, "Hey, you need to get down here. They're going nuts. They're going crazy." And I'm like in my shorts and t-shirt, in my Jordan flip-flops, and I'm trying to set camp up because there's a storm coming in, and I want to get this all set up so we don't get all of our gear drenched. So I get all set up, I throw my backpack on, I start running down the hill, and I go about 50 yards and I realize I didn't put my camo and boots on. So I go back, I throw my camo on, tie up my boots, and just minimal stuff in my pack. I'm going down there. I'm expecting to get into them and get out. So I got my kill kit, and that's about it. As I'm going down, my knee's starting to bother me. And
pause right there real quick again. Sorry for interrupting again.
Yeah.
But for those uninitiated, what's your kill kit? Just describe it in 20 seconds.
Kill kit. I got a skinning knife. I got some different knives for taking care of the elk when I'm done. I've got some gloves to keep my hands relatively clean. I've got my tag. I've got some extra blades. I've got my game bags and a headlamp and all the things you might need if you're going to stay out there late. Have a tourniquet in there as well, just in case you nick yourself or something major happens. But it's kind of the bare bones. I didn't take a spotter. I didn't take any snacks. I didn't take a water bottle. I didn't take anything. I went in as light as possible. It was going to be a quick hunt. The storm was moving in, and so I'm buzzing down the trail. The leaves are turning. I mean, they're absolutely stunning. It's golds, it's greens, it's purples and reds. It's just the absolute perfect day. There's a storm brewing in the west, and I'm working down. And at one point at 5:24, I stop and take a video of these aspens because it was too hard. And at the same time, I want to get after these elk. It was just, you had to stop and pause and look at the surroundings and just appreciate it for a minute. Plus, I was a little bit out of breath. But so then after the video, this is at 5:24, remember. So I get down and I hear him screaming. I get all sorts of, like, this is what elk hunting's all about. It's finally going to happen. My buddy's already in the mix. He's not answering my calls. I know he's in the elk. And so I get down there, and I finally poke out of the trees, and there's this open field, and it kind of drops down into some aspens. And I get to a spot, kind of a higher spot on this open field. Sage is kind of mixed in around with some brush, and I get behind this big sagebrush, and I locate my buddy, and there's an elk. Instantly, I see him and an elk 15 yards away. 30 seconds later, he goes into full draw. I'm like, oh, I'm about to watch this whole thing go down. I'm all excited. I'm ready to see him just smoke this elk. Frontal shot, 15 yards max, and he lets down, and the elk kind of backs out, jumps back about 5-10 yards and is unsure what happened. So I grab my bugle tube and just rip a nasty screaming bugle at him, and he puffs up his chest, looks over in my direction, and then I cow call 4, 5, 6 times, and I knock an arrow. He comes trotting up 30 to 40 yards. Didn't have time to range. I'm in full draw. He comes right into my view. I'm already in full draw, and zip one in right in that front left shoulder. And it is a risky shot. You're not trained to take a frontal shot. It's not the most ideal situation, but you got to think, this is my first opportunity to shoot an elk. It's an inside 40-yard shot. I just got.
And you'd been practicing out to what, 80, 90 yards consistently? Yeah.
Let me pause for a second. So this year I committed so much time and effort to practicing. I shot my bow before work. I shot my bow at lunch, and I shot my bow after work more days than not through the spring and summer and fall. I had my target set up. I just grabbed my bow, shot anywhere from 1 to 30 arrows at a time, whatever I had time for. I tried to make no excuses. So I got a lot of practice in. I got a new bow 2 years ago. I got a Matthews VXR. I got some new broadheads that are a single bevel, made out in North Dakota. They're called Iron Wills. Who knows how much they helped, but they did the trick. So it was starting to rain pretty hard after I pulled the shot off, and I looked down at my buddy, and I'm fist pumping up and down, just like, I nailed it. I can't believe it. I'm on cloud 9, and he looks at me and then goes down into the trees, and I'm thinking, this son of a gun wants to go after that big 6-pointer that was just over here. So I sit there kind of puzzled, kind of like, I just accomplished one of the biggest goals of my life. And he doesn't even care. He's gonna go chase this other bull. And I'm like, I'm all for it, but I don't know if my bull is dead. I don't know where it is. I haven't tracked it. But it's starting to rain. The blood trail's gonna get washed off. So I decide after a couple minutes, I'm gonna just make a beeline and drop an Onyx trail where my sighting of the bull is, from where I shot him to my last sight, and see if I can get some sort of a trajectory to where he might be going. And as soon as I go over the very next small little hump of a ridge in this open field, he's 15 yards away, laying there dead. And I was shocked. I was completely like just thankful. I was emotional. I called my wife. I called you. I think I FaceTimed you.
I remember seeing it laying there on the ground. I was like, wow.
I was in disbelief.
Awesome.
It had to have died. I had to have hit something major, like a carotid or something, because he didn't go more than 80 yards from where I was shooting from. And so I get over him and I FaceTime, and I'm at the same time, the bulls are just going nuts. They're bugling like crazy. They're going absolutely crazy. And so I'm bugling. I'm thinking I might try to call this other bull in for my buddy. And so now I'm back into hunting mode after kind of like celebrating for 2 minutes. I'm like, I gotta continue hunting because my buddy is so caught up in this 6-pointer. So I get down and I'm bugling, and every minute there's 3 or 4 bugles going. I'm one of them. There's 3 others. We get down in the trees. I can see my buddy. He's 100 yards away. There's cows in between us. There's bulls, within distance, just no good shooting opportunities. And this cow comes within, if I was to hold my fletching of my arrow and reach the tip out, I could have bopped her on the nose. That's how close she was to me. The wind was good. I was behind a little, 5-inch aspen tree, and she had no clue what I was. I think it's mostly to do with my kuyu patterns, but giving kuyu probably too much credit.
Probably.
Yeah. And my buddy, the cow runs straight to my buddy and gets within 5-10 yards of him, and he says he's got no shot. So after all this is said and done, he walks over to me and goes, "Why didn't you shoot that cow? She was right there." And I was like, "I shot a bull 20 minutes ago, and you took off after the 6th point." He goes, "Wait, what? You shot a bull?" Gave me a big hug. And so he had no idea. He thought my fist pump was move forward. I'm like, "Well, you use fingers to do that." I don't look like a maniac, pumping my fist after I say move forward. So,
yeah.
But it was quite the deal. And then what we ended up doing was taking a picture. It was actually right there in the sunset. There was just a 1 to 2 minute glimpse of the sun to shine on us after the storm. We were drenched, absolutely drenched. We ended up deboning the front shoulders, taking the head for a European mount, hindquarters, backstraps, tenderloins, heart, all out in one trip between him and I. And
what do you think your packs weighed? Just conservative estimate.
Conservative estimate, I would say. So I'm thinking my hind was 70 pounds with the bone in. I'm thinking I had a hind, 2 fronts deboned, so I'm guessing that was another probably 45, 50 pounds. And I had the head and my bow all on the way out. I'm not that good at math, but I'm thinking it was maxing out my pack's ability and definitely maxed out my body's ability. We had a 2.5 mile uphill in the mud pack out to camp. So backing up, I took a video at 5:24. I was over top of my elk for the first picture at 6:11.
Wow.
I was at 5:24. I was still a mile away from my elk, and it happened that fast. So you go from hunting five days hard elevation, all the ups and downs, the near encounters, to parking your camper, sprinting down the mountain, taking a video of the aspens, getting behind a sagebrush, and 5 minutes later shooting your first bull. It happens quick. It happened really quick. Everything was perfect. Right time, right place, right weather, right wind. The elk were rutting, and my preparation led me to just the perfect placement of a shot. Instinctual shooting. I didn't range. I just let her rip, and I didn't think about it. The reason he didn't shoot was because his peep was turned 90 degrees and had no visual field of his bow sight. Now, you would think someone whose priority is to hunt elk in the fall would practice their bow. Tyler's not one of those guys. Okay. You'd think that you would have your gear ready and set up within a month of the season. That's not Tyler. He got it. He got this set up. He got new strings less than a week before he showed up and didn't have time to shoot. So he knew he needed to turn the peep, but in the moment he forgot. It didn't happen, and it cost him his first shot on this bull. So it's just
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tyler. It is he's one of my best hunting buddies. We've been through a lot. He's a very experienced outdoorsman. I've learned a lot from him. He's an excellent fly fisherman down on the North Platte. If you ever want to go on a float trip, he's definitely your man. He's got more experience than anybody I know down there. And he's an awesome dude. He's a great man. He's a very close friend, and it's fun to kind of throw him under the bus a little bit. But hey, he packed out nearly half that elk for me, and we spent a lot of time together, talking about our aches and pains the next few days from packing that thing out. So it was one of those memories, though, you'll never forget. You can't recreate it. You couldn't draw it up that way. It's just the way it was supposed to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously I wish I could have been there, but I got to see it right afterwards, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
And like you've been chasing them with well, just in general, but with your bow very hard for years. So being able to cross that one off the list has got to feel good.
It feels really good. You know, coming a long way. My first year with him, archery hunting was my third year archery hunting, but with him it was my first. I ended up calling a bull into 15 yards, and we had no shot. And I made the mistake of bugling one more time and blew him out of there, and I've been getting crap for it for 5 years. So now I got something to celebrate, and I can give him a little crap too.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. But so coming up here, you got SHOT Show. I think you're heading out to SHOT Show tomorrow, I hear.
Yeah, SHOT Show first thing in the morning. Headed out. Got to get to Omaha, hop on a flight, and then I don't know. Don't know if I'll be able to check into the hotel and drop stuff off, or I'm gonna
it's in Las Vegas, correct?
Show. Yeah, so SHOT Show's in Las Vegas every year. It's the SHOT stands for the Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoor Trade Show. I'm pretty certain that's what it stands for. So I'm going there for HDI Plastics, and we've got some customers there and some prospective customers there, and so we'll meet with people, check out all the cool new gear, and yeah, it should be a good time. It's going to be a
I wish
long
I could
week.
go.
Maybe one of these years I'll see if I can get you in. It's quite a spectacle. So I'll take note of some of my favorite things or what I think are the best things to SHOT Show this year, and maybe we'll cover that next time.
Yeah, that's a definite. We need to go over your top 5 new products coming into the outdoor world after SHOT Show. So we'll have to cover that.
I'll make a list. I'll make sure to make a list and take a few pictures.
That sounds good. Sounds really good. Well, hey, I have a few things that we have to throw in because it's kind of a big deal. So, Nebraska football.
Yeah.
How much Kool-Aid are you drinking?
A gallon a day?
Yeah, we got. Okay, so for those of you who are wanting some updates here, I'm a big Nebraska football fan. It's in my blood. I almost gave up on them, but that lasted like 6 days or something like that. So, but now we have a new coach. We have a proven successful coach with a good background. He's brought in a good staff, and we have today some awesome news that a 5-star linebacker from Georgia is transferring to Nebraska. That's a big deal. He was, I think, the 39th best player in the country in his recruiting class, so hopefully that should help solidify some of our defense. Granted, Georgia's had, I think last year they had 2 first-round draft pick linebackers, so he's not probably that caliber, but I'm sure he's pretty darn good. We got one of the top receivers from 2 years ago, Xavier Betts, is back with the program. Big-time receiver.
I think that's a big deal. He's fast.
He's fast, and I think he's going to be a great weapon with a lot of potential if he can get some development going and have a good experience. I think the sky's the roof for him. We also have, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who scored the first touchdown against Northwestern last year, which is like one of his only highlights. He's returning as well. So he actually entered the transfer portal. He's the first player actually after Scott Frost got fired to enter the portal, and now he's back. So what looked to be maybe a weak spot for us is now turned into a strength once again, and he's putting together some big time players coming to play for Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers. So that's just in the last 24 hours, guys. There's lots of good news. If you haven't been following, I follow Sean Callahan at Husker Online, and I watch Corn Craze on YouTube, and they do a good job of updating me on what's going on, and it's pretty entertaining to see. The unfortunate part is the good part of Nebraska football is the off season. During the season hasn't really been so good, but
it's been pretty rough.
Lots of fun things to talk about this offseason with NIL, transfer portal, new coaching staff, new players, all over the place. But yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I'm all in on Big Red, and that's how it'll always be, though.
Yeah, same here. I'm pumped. Spring game hopefully will be pretty entertaining, but we'll see.
We shall see.
Yeah. Anything else you got?
I think we're excited to hear what your SHOT Show 2023 looks like. I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes, and I'm looking forward to hearing from people who are giving us a listen. If you have things you want us to talk about, if you have questions for us, that'll help us kind of get some topics going, and we'll discuss it. Obviously, John's an engineer and has a great mind for solving problems with outdoor gear, particularly in firearms, and he's designing some products. So if there's an issue you have with the gun or a product you're interested in, we can kind of expand on that. And anything physical therapy, I'd be happy to answer. So just help us out, give us some topics, and give us some feedback. We hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks. See you next time.
Throw the bones.
See you later, bro.
Later, bro.